Joseph Percoco seems to be part of a trend of corruption, and so the
last September, President Trump ended the DACA program and set a deadline of March 5th for Congress to find a solution for Dreamers. After a week of open debates in the Senate,
Congress failed to act on DACA, leaving the face of Dreamers uncertain. Talking Points Analyst Sabrina Maggiore is here to tell us more about the future of DACA and the March 5th deadline fast as it approaches. Sabrina, thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me.
So what exactly does this March 5th deadline mean?
So politically, the March 5th deadline is very significant. It's essentially a date that President Trump set, urging Congress to get some sort of legislation passed by then. Policy-wise, it is essentially an inflection point, meaning that at this point, a series of DACA permits are going to expire. And we have a graph that essentially explains that. There's 122 DACA permits that will expire each day, and that's happened since October. 22,000 permits total will expire by March 5th, and after March 5th, we're going to see 668,000 additional permits expiring.
and Sabrina, we've seen several decisions on the federal court level. How do you think this is going to impact the deadline, if at all?
So two federal judges, one in New York and the other in California, ordered an injunction on this deadline. And what that did was essentially allow the U.S. to renew DACA applications starting immediately. Trump asked the Supreme Court to hear an appeal of this, and the Supreme Court hasn't acted. And what that means now for Congress is that there's a little bit less pressure for them to pass legislation immediately. For Dreamers, on the other hand, they're still eligible to reapply for DACA permits, but the problem is these reapplication process takes a long time, and during this time, they could see deportation proceedings starting.
And in terms of some of those legislative solutions, what is Congress debating and prioritizing?
So right now, when the Senate resumes, we're going to see temporary measures essentially being brought to the table. Jeff Flake said that he's going to bring a temporary measure called the 3 for 3. He said that he'll renew DACA for 3 years in exchange for funding of the border wall for 3 years. We saw permanent efforts not pass in the Senate last week, where we could see those same measures brought to the table again and see sort of renegotiation and whipping to try and get people to come aboard on those measures as well.
Well, Sabrina, with March 5th near on the horizon, obviously we're going to